Hi friends! Okay, so today or in this video, I'm going to tell you guys the story for this week, and it's called The Contented Earthworm. So, here we go. After a long and soaking rain, the earthworms came out of their burrows, or really they came partway out of their burrows, because you see there were so many of them near each other that they could come halfway out of their burrow and they could visit with each other without even leaving their homes, which really is I'm pretty jealous of right now in our current situation. But anyway, they would come out and they would visit with each other without even leaving their houses. Now, two of these long slimy worms were talking with each other when a potato bug strolled by. And the potato bug looked at the earthworms and he said, "Oh, you poor things, stuck in those holes all the time, what wretched lives you must live. Spending one's day in the dark earth must be so very dreary." And the earthworms kind of looked at each other, and one of them said, dreary? It's delightful, actually. The earth is snug and soft, and it's warm in cold weather, and it's cool when it's hot outside, and there are no winds to trouble us, and there's definitely no sun to scorch us. And the potato bug said, "But it must be very dull now out here that there's grass and there are beautiful flowers and there are so many families of different friends out here that we can hang out with." And the worm said, "Well, down here we have roots, and there are many, many kinds of roots. There are the brown and woody roots of the trees that come down, and then there are the white and slender and soft roots of all the other flowers and plants that come out, and they creep and they twine all over the place down here, and we get to weave our way through them when we're digging our holes, and it's almost like a forest for us." And he said, the springtime is the very best time too, because you see these seeds and they start growing towards the top and their roots go down, and we get to watch them emerge and come up out of the soil during the springtime. And he said sometimes even the seeds are buried so deep that we get to watch them twist and turn as they make their way to the top. And the potato bug said, "Still, but after the plants are gone, don't you feel lonely because they've left you?" And the earthworm said, "Well, we have the roots always. The roots are always there. And then when summer is over, the plants have done their work, and they've helped with what they help with making the world beautiful and raising their seeds that then can be used later on for more generations. And then they start to wither and droop into the earth again, and then the frost comes and the snow and the rain, and it helps them come back and melt back into the earth, because the earth is the beginning and the end for plants." And then the pillbug said, "Well, but do you ever see any of the other meadow creatures, any of the insects or the animals that live in the meadows?" And the other earthworm said, "Well, actually, many of them start their lives down here in the earth with us, so we get to see them when they're babies, when they're just beginning." He said the may beetles do this, and the grasshoppers, and the great hummingbird moths, and many of them spend their babyhood down in the soil with us, so we get to see them grow up, because they start all wrapped in eggs and cocoons, and then they become strong enough and they get their legs and their wings while they're down in the earth, and then they push up and they begin their way to the surface, and then they start their work once they get to the surface. And then the other earthworm said, "You know, the one thing that I do not envy down here would be the stones. I do not know how they stay so still and so quiet all the time." And he said, I wouldn't like that life." And the other earthworm said, "Yeah, but many of these stones have lived a very active life before this. They have they've been in rivers, and they've tumbled all over these rivers and streams and become really smooth, or they've made their way from one place to another because they were much bigger rocks and then they became smaller rocks." And he said, "So a lot of them have lived this really great life outside of being in the ground with us. So maybe they're very happy just to lie there and rest once they get to us." And the other earthworm said, "Well, you know, I hadn't thought of it that way. I guess maybe they are happy to just be there." "Truly," said the potato bug, "though, you have a pleasant home, it sounds like, the way you describe it, but give me the sunshine and the wind and the grass and everything up here any day. I would much rather have that. And the earthworm said, well, I mean, you're welcome to all of that, because we would much rather have the earth down here and the snugness of being under the ground and the safety of being within the dirt. And he said, you can keep all of that other stuff, because we have this task of keeping the earth right for the plants and making sure that the earth is the way it needs to be for all these plants and seeds and even some of the creatures of the meadow to grow in. And so the pill bug eventually went on his way, and he ran into, not pill bug, potato bug. I don't know why I want to call this poor bug a pill bug. Potato bug went on his way, and he came and he ran into one of his friends, and he said, you'll never believe the conversation I just had. I just had this conversation with this earthworm who was much happier to be an earthworm and be under the earth all the time than to be a potato bug or anything else that's up above the ground. And it was just, he just was flabbergasted by this conversation that he had had. And so the potato bugs just kind of shook their heads in wonder, because they just really didn't understand how anybody could feel that way, because they thought that being potato bugs was the greatest and grandest and happiest thing that you could ever be. But the earthworms felt the very same way about being earthworms. And that, my friend, is the story of the contented earthworms. All right, I will see you later. Bye.